I had a plan, okay? And I needed my platform. I had a plan though. Just need the platform. So going into the day, I was leaning a bit more bullish. All right, so boom. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a trade recap because I am doing an evaluation for Apex for a 50K funded account. Um, and I was previously doing it like every day, every trade I was doing it live, and I meant to do that today, but I just didn't get to it. Point being, I want to break down today's trades because we did take, honestly, I think we took about 4 or 5 trades. So we did lose a couple, we went break even, and we eventually won one, allowing us to come out with like $90 in profit on the day. Um, which is pretty good because I think we were down like 350 at one point. I was risking about 200, 250 on each trade. With my max loss, like if I lose 100, $500, then I'm off the charts. I never hit that 500 points, so I was okay with continuing to go because I knew, I had a plan, okay? And I needed my platform. I had a plan though. Just need the platform. So going into the day, I was leaning a bit more bullish. Just noticing that we had this 4 hour fair value gap, tapped into it and we were pushing higher. Um, Looking on the daily, there's really not much for me on the daily. I mean, we did have this SMT that I didn't notice earlier. Had I noticed this SMT earlier, I haven't been going to sleep on time. I didn't wake up on time today. Well, I did wake up on time. I just didn't feel like rested. But had I locked in, I would have noticed this SMT between NQ and ES, and that definitely would have gave me more of a bullish bias going into New York Open. Some things that I did notice also is that we did have an SMT up here, and we were in a 4 hour fair value gap. So I was like, okay, well we might want to go down, we might not. I also did know that we put in this low on Monday, so that was also giving me some extra confluence to be bullish going into the morning. Interesting enough. Um, at this point, I believe, where were we? I had marked out a few places. For one, we were in this 15-minute fair value gap here in London session. There's also this 15-minute fair value gap right here that we were playing in between. Going into the 1 minute, because that's a 15-minute fair value gap. I was looking for a change in the state. We did have a change in the state here, right here. Anyways, I ended up shorting this right here and getting stopped out and realizing on this candle right here that we were definitely going to go take out these highs. I entered off this fair value gap. This is where I entered. So my first entry, I believe it was like this. This is why I'm going to start recording live. And I was going to target these lows. Um, I was actually going to target these lows way down here, but I thought these were safest. So once I saw this candle, I quickly exited for probably about $100 loss and I went long because we just tapped into another 15-minute fair value gap that was actually in line with my bias. I don't know why I switched it there. I really didn't have m many reasons to except for that SMT um, between ES and NQ. And where? Okay. And we tapped into this 15-minute and we had this change in the state right here. And I entered off of this fair value gap here. Now, because I had just taken that loss and immediately entered into a position, for some reason, I talked myself out of this play and I went break even. I went break even roughly like on this candle. And then that next following candle retested that change in the state of delivery that we got right here off of retested this change in the state of delivery that we got off of that 15-minute fair value gap and stopped me out. Which really it was painful. It was very, very painful because this trade would have been like I could have just got off the charts. I literally could have got off the charts. in less than like 20 minutes off of this trade. And this is going to be my initial target. I believe it was London or what highs were those? Asian session highs um on ES. So the next thing I did was I kind of just started reanalyzing the charts and seeing what kind of was going on. Eventually I came back to the charts and my next trade was actually off of this SMT right here. We never took out these highs. Instead of we just created an SMT with NQ. Um, and I was feeling bearish. I was. I can't remember really what the reason for taking this trade. Oh, it was definitely this 15 minute. This 15 minute being respected. Going into the 1 minute. Yeah, definitely this 15 minute being respected. I was waiting for a change in the state of delivery because we tap back into, okay, yeah. Moving into the later day, the trade I took later in the day, I noticed we had tapped into this 15-minute fair value gap here. This 15-minute fair value gap here with an order block. So what I was waiting to see, even though we had this SMT with ES, I don't know, I was just like, whatever, fuck it. I looking back, I mean, it was literally 11 a.m. Yeah, that's tough. Looking back, I probably wouldn't have taken this trade, but I was hopeful. We got this change in the state on the 1 minute. And I entered immediately on the next candle after it closed above this change in the state. Price went up, and we tapped into this 5 minute fair value gap. I'm pretty sure from there we uh we just sold off. We might have tapped that CSD, but I don't think we did. Yeah, we just sold off. And that was my first loss because the first two, well, I guess it was my second loss. Yeah, it was my second loss. My first loss was the first trade I took for like $100. That was the short. My second trade was break even. This trade, I lost another like $100, 150 or so, on this trade. And then I went over to NQ. Okay, so boom. Then I came over to NQ for my next two trades that I took before getting off the charts. At this point, we're probably down about $350. Um, now, I'm still bullish, even because we had a retracement. Now, what I wanted to see it come down into discount of this leg, but we didn't quite get that, but it was close. So I was like, I'll still take it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not really technically one of my solid hardcore rules. Like I don't need it to be that, but I do like for premium and discount to be a confluence that is used. So um, looking on the 1 hour, I noticed that one, we had just swept the low of this 1 hour candle after sweeping the high of this 1 hour candle. And with my, see, this is the high of the 1 hour candle that we swept, and this is the low that we had swept, tapping into a 1 hour fair value gap, as you can see right here. And also, if we go down, it's also a 15-minute fair value gap. Also, we had this high embedded into a fair value gap, which makes it a sensitive area. If you look at this 1 hour, the high is embedded, which makes it a sensitive area for price to react from. So I came to the 1 minute because I used the 15-minute fair value gap with the 1 minute with time frame alignment. And I waited for my change in the state of delivery. Now, the change in the state of delivery is technically right here on the 1 minute, and I didn't quite like that. So what I waited for is I waited for this 1 minute to be inversed because I wanted more confirmation because I was already down $350 at this point. So if I'm going to take a trade, I would like for it to be a confirmed trade. Um, so we ended up getting that inverse right here, and I immediately entered as soon as this candle closed. Like Soon as it said zero, open a new candle, boom, I was in market order, 5 orders. Now, I was still a bit fishy about this play. So what I ended up doing is at some point I went break even on my trade and I got stopped out. I would say I went break even at this point because we were in this 1 hour fair value gap that also I think it happened to be, yeah, 5 minute. And it might have even been a 15 minute. Yeah. It also happened to be a 15 minute. So when it came in here, I went break even, which I technically don't think is terrible. Especially because I'm down 350. So now I'm trying to manage risk as best as I can while still trying to get a win. Also, I'm trading Apex and they have a trailing drawdown, so I'm keeping that in mind. To me, the trailing drawdown, I can keep that out of my mind I'm as long as I'm managing how much I'm actually losing compared to the trailing drawdown. Because trailing drawdown changes. Like you know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily take me farther from my objective, like actually losing money does. So then I was just kind of watching price, watching price, watching price. I wanted to get back in, but what I wanted to see was exactly this. I waited for price to inverse this last 1 minute fair value gap, and that's when I entered. I entered a little bit above here, and I believe I had my stop below this low. And I was targeting these highs originally. Now, I'm gonna let this play out because we got tapped in. I was like, okay, bet. And I'm not gonna lie, this trade took freaking forever. Like it took all day because I was actually looking at the 5 minute. It took all day, literally all day. I had this partials marked out because this is a 1 hour high. And I didn't necessarily know if we were gonna reach here. And actually, at the same time that we had reached this point on on ES, we had literally just put in S&T. So I was even less inclined to hold my full position. So I had 5 contracts in total on this move. I ended up taking about uh, 3 at this partial level. And I was trying to hold 2 for my runners just in case it did go up and hit that level. We didn't end up doing that. We actually got a huge, I had moved my stop. Oh, also on this move, I could have added. I didn't though, because again, we're down 350. I moved my stop as soon as this move happened because we got another change in the state from a 5 minute. I was like, cool, bet that up. I'm good off that. Oh, it's just actually a 15 minute, so we definitely got a 1 minute change in the state. I don't know about the 15 because I don't have a 15-second chart. But then I moved my stop. It was probably like right here because I wanted to, if I did get stopped out, I wanted to get stopped out in profit. And then we had this huge candle that just smacked us right here and took us out of this play. And I can show my executions. This is where we entered. As you can see, we entered off of this one getting inverse, like I said, and then we got stopped at break even here. This is where I entered for my next position. As you can see, as we inverse this one last 1 minute fair value gap, and I sold my partials right here for 3, and then we ended up getting stopped a little bit lower around here for 2 of those contracts. And let me see if I can show you my executions on on and on ES. So the original we sold that and then we bought 10, so that took us out of that position. This is the loss we took. As you can see, we took it right here. Our stops were here. And then we bought right here because we had to change the state from the 15 minute, tapped in, and then we got stopped out at break even right here. Um, that was a really good trade. Had we stayed in it and just let it do what we do, but I think it was because those trades were so close together, I didn't have time to really bring my mind back to equilibrium to withstand the stress of that trade. Um, then we have our third trade over here, which is I thought was going to be another buying opportunity. Technically, I don't necessarily think that that was a terrible trade because at that point we did create these equal. relative equal highs on ES. Although we did have that SMT, we probably just needed to wait for that retracement because this is definitely generating liquidity. And ES ended up taking these highs. Then that's when we went to NQ. This was our first trade, and then we got stop break even. And this is our second trade. This is the one where we ended up making about $90 back after losing the 350. Had I taken the five partials, I probably would have been up like uh roughly like $200. So it would have been like a $700 trade. But instead, this trade was probably about like $450, 400, yeah, roughly around like $440 made on that trade, which is decent, folks. It's decent. It's decent. Whenever I actually ended up hitting my final take profit, which is cool. I'm not really tripping about that. But yeah, what's left for right now? She get my mind right, back test, so we can pass this funded account. Like I'm done playing with y'all. It's 2025. But yeah, thanks for coming to my trade recap, and I hope that, well, I know that as long as I don't give up, one of these videos is going to be a breakdown of how I got my first payout. So bye guys.